Okay, so the Idaho balsam for some copaiba and some frankincense was actually sent to me by a friend before I even became a distributor. And she sent it to me in an effort to try to help with pain management because I was in a lot of pain and she knew it. And she's a Young Living distributor, and so she really believed that it would be helpful to me if I had those 3 oils on hand to turn into what they call morphine balm. You take a gel cap and you put several drops of each of them into the gel cap and then consume it, and that is supposed to be helpful for pain management. At the time, I had done it, I think, three different times, and I did not find it to be all that helpful. So I think it's just that the pain I'm dealing with is on a whole different level than what a lot of pain management medications would take care of. I haven't tried a lot. I tried ibuprofen for approximately a week at one point, didn't touch it. I had tried the morphine bombs through the essential oils to curb it, didn't seem to help. This was pretty much just a deal with it deal. I probably could have gone into the emergency room and gotten a strong medication, but since I'm nursing, that did not really seem to be a good option because it would be quite traumatic for my little one to suddenly be cut off from nursing from me. So even though we're supplementing mostly with formula right now, the fact is that she gets a lot of comfort from nursing, and it's also better for the babies too. So I don't want to take that away from her, even if that means dealing with the pain that I'm dealing with. It would be harder on me to cut her off and have her not understand than just dealing with the pain when it flares up. Usually when that happens, I just sleep through it, or try anyway. So there's been a couple of things that I've tried. I've used the Young Living essential oils. I did a layering effect. I used the copaiba in areas on my body that were sore. I did the copaiba and then the panaway and then the peppermint, and then layered it again with another with like a carrier oil. And at one point I had it on just about every joint. It seemed to help a little bit. Smelled really good. And I noticed that my right hand seemed to be seemed to have the biggest effect with using the essential oils. And I think it's because that was the hand that I was using to rub the oils. But they're expensive, and I pretty much burned through it pretty quickly. When you've got your whole body's joints acting up and that's your only option for pain management, you burn through it pretty fast. These are little 5 milliliter bottles. I'm actually going to be purchasing 15 milliliter bottles at the end of the month to have on hand. I try to avoid using it most of the time now because I know how expensive it can get. I kind of didn't realize that initially. I mean, I knew Young Living essential oils were expensive, but I just didn't realize how much I would go through and so quickly. So even not going overkill, like on each need putting 2 drops, I ended up burning through all my oils pretty fast. I have a tiny little bit left in the copaiba and the panaway, and I'm hanging on to that for a time that I am just completely and utterly desperate. Until I can get the other 15 milliliter bottles. So, another thing is that my birthday was recently. It was March 14th, and my oldest, who's 21, interestingly, has done a lot of research on the effectiveness of marijuana or cannabis. Same thing. And she's never been a drug user or anything like that. The topic has just been interesting to her, and she has dived into it and has learned a ton. So she wanted to know if I'd be interested in trying the cannabis oil. In Wisconsin, it is not legal to have cannabis oil unless not even legal under medicinal use. So Hemp oil, however, does not have the psychoactive properties that is common with smoking marijuana or something. So she went ahead and bought hemp oil, and this is the third night I've used it. I started it 3 nights ago, and so I've done 2 full days and 1 night. And I honestly am wondering if this is what's making me feel so much better today. I did take a morphine bomb this morning along with the cannabis oil, and just, I just fill it up into a little capsule, and I have a bunch of them in my drawer that I have access to, so I can take it first thing in the morning and then at night when I go to bed. The instructions on the bottle say 15 drops. So I tell you, the stuff still smells terrible. I smelled it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't stick this on my tongue. I have a pretty bad gag reflex, and I was just like, oh, I can't do that. So thankfully I did have capsules on hand though. So, and once you consume them, it don't have any kind of the weird burps that sometimes comes along with like fish oil and stuff like that. So it was a pretty easy deal. So this morning I woke up feeling pretty terrible. I went ahead and took the hemp oil along with the morphine bomb. I had made up some morphine bomb pills when I initially got the oils, and I had 2 of them that I hadn't used. So I used one yesterday and I used another one today along with the hemp oil, and pretty quickly later, probably within 4 or 5 hours, I started feeling drastically better. And tonight I feel a ton better. I just don't have the body ache that I was dealing with this morning. I mean, I couldn't even move. Usually, laying on the bed when my little one is brought to me, I'll put her between the wall and myself and let her nurse on one side. But this morning I couldn't even move, and I had been facing away from the wall, and my mom asked if I wanted to nurse her on the other side. I'm like, I can't even flip over. I was in so much pain. And, I'm not a baby when it comes to pain. I've had 2 natural births, and I just have a pretty high pain tolerance. I'm pretty laid back, and I think that that's probably part of my nature for dealing with pain, is just having this kind of laid back attitude. This is a whole different level of pain, and not having any kind of escape from it has been really cumbersome. So feeling so much better tonight is interesting. I have had good days before, so I'm not completely sold that it's the hemp oil, but I'm suspecting, I'm actually feeling good enough that I'm really suspecting that it could be potentially the hemp oil. Maybe a combination of the hemp oil and the morphine bomb. Recently, I did try this, and it's a homeopathy medication. I picked it up in the hopes that it would help. It was on it for probably a week or better, and I didn't really notice a difference, not with that particular one. However, I have also ordered a homeopathy kit through Joette Calabrese's website. If you don't know who Joette Calabrese is, she's well versed on homeopathy, and the whole understanding of homeopathy, and that like cures like, and stuff like that is very interesting. I really highly recommend you going to her website and checking it out, and that's joettecalabrese.com. And so I believe that's joettecalabrese.com. I'll put it down in the description below. So, but the kit that I ordered is this top 100 remedies. So I got some of the bookwork that comes along with the order, but so far I'm still waiting on the remedies. So we've got a lot of different ailments going on in our family that I'd like to try to use homeopathy on. Interestingly, I had a friend give me some Ludi's homeopathic pills back in October because I was having migraines. I had started having migraines in July, and they had started increasing in the number and frequency. And so she gave me that, and I would take it during the beginning of the migraine, and I'm like, this isn't helping getting rid of the migraine. I still go through the migraine, I still end up throwing up. It wiped out my day. And but then my last one was December 24th. I had started tracking it. My last one was December 24th, and I haven't had another one since, and it's almost April. So after looking on Joette's website, I kind of discovered how homeopathy works, and that is not to necessarily cure that specific symptom right then, like an Advil would, but is to uproot the cause of what is creating that symptom. So I think what happened was I started taking that, and then it switched into a different type of symptom and moved it into a physical symptom that I'm dealing with now. And I don't fully understand homeopathy, but I'm just about willing to try anything. So what exactly is going on, I don't know. But the homeopathy, I think, is a good route to take. In combination with maybe the hemp oil, if it is working to help with my pain. So Friday I have the blood work to do Lyme disease testing. I'm really hoping that there's no hiccup with me falling into the 70% of rejected positive people. Because I really want to know what I'm dealing with. And if this is Lyme disease, I think I've been dealing with it for a really long time. My body seems to, now that I'm approaching 40, my body seems to deal with, or it starts to add these things, these ailments when I'm having a high stress time in my life. So when I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism, there was a lot happening with my dad, and he left home and started having some legal issues, and it was a very, very high stress time. I was a daddy's girl, and there was just a lot going on in our family. And I think that triggered my hypothyroidism. And then most recently, the migraine started at the beginning of July. Again, another really high stress time. We had lived on a converted school bus, and we had just moved out to a farm to stay at. But we had dealt with a lot. I had the baby approximately 2 months prior, and it just, again, in a really high stress time. And I think that started the migraines. And then at the end of December, beginning of January, again, another really high stress time for me, emotionally and physically. I had gone off of my gluten-free diet. I'm celiac. We had not had much money, and we had been gifted a bunch of food by somebody, and a lot of it was gluten food, so I ate it. And so for about a month, I was off of a gluten-free diet. I think that very well could have been part of the reason why this has now been triggered. But the effects of the stress, and not just the stress like biologically because I haven't been eating gluten, but we had been having some financial issues because my husband had damaged his feet and wasn't able to work. I was trying to finish up school for the semester, as well as take care of the family, and I was working at the same time. Of course, holiday season, we don't celebrate Christmas, but that time of year is just stressful. So I think that it just all kind of came to a head and just sent me into a spiral with my health. Interestingly, if this is Lyme disease, then I think this is probably the root of a lot of my problems that I've been having for a very long time. So it'll be interesting to see what the results say.